Okay. This thing's straight out. I will ask that you watch this video to the end. I'll try not to make it a long video. But I'm probably going to say something in the middle that'll turn a lot of people off, and then I'll tie it into something else. And so just watch to the end. And I'll try not to be a long video. About 2 weeks ago, I finished a book. And this is not a book review. But there was this book that I was reading. It was about a surgeon. And I'll skip a lot of details. But basically, he was out of his car. He was walking around. He met this young girl, little hippie chick. He's thing takes place in Eastern Washington. So he runs into this little gal, and they're talking. And they go a little further. They're on foot, like hitchhikers. And they come across these 3 young men that are, well, they're wetbacks. They're illegal aliens in the produce harvesting trade. They're picking apples, but they're on foot too. They hook up with these 3 guys. The girl, she speaks a little Spanish. I'm going to find out one of these young men is sick. She says, "Hey, you're a doctor. Why don't you see what you can do about this guy?" And so the guy's coughing, got this terrible fever, and the guy says, I think he's got tuberculosis, or something like that. And he says, "We get to this next town, we got to find him some help." So they get to the next town, and he says, "We need to call an ambulance and get him to a hospital." And the girl says, "Well, you can't do that because they'll deport him. Obviously, they're illegal. He's going to get deported. So I don't care if he gets deported. He's going to die if we don't do anything. If we do nothing." And so they go back and forth. Finally, he says, "Forget it. I'm calling the ambulance." Ambulance shows up. The 2 drivers get out, or 2 guys from the ambulance get out. And the one guy says, "Is this guy legal?" And the guy says, "Well, the surgeon kind of lies. Well, I don't know for sure, but he's sick." Because, well, if he's illegal, we can't take him because the hospital won't take him. His partner, the other ambulance guy, says, "Oh yeah, they'll take him. They take him all the time." The guy says, No, they won't take him. He's illegal." The guy says, "Don't worry about it. They take him all the time." So they go back and forth, all this. They get him in there and they take him to the hospital. So the man and the girl, actually the man now, she goes somewhere else. He ends up in this labor camp. A lot of this, so wetbacks, a lot of illegals, and they're getting ready to harvest apples. And this woman goes into labor. She's an illegal, and she's having problems. He helps deliver the baby, but she's got to get to the hospital. So it's the same thing again. What do we do? He says, let's get her to the hospital. You can't just do nothing. The underlying theme of those 2 scenes, at least in my opinion, and I'm pretty sure the guy that wrote this was a liberal, not knocking it. It was very good, but it was a good read. But I think he was trying to the point he's trying to make is that these are human beings. Yeah, they might be here illegally, but they're sick. They're in need of assistance. They need medical attention. And in these 2 cases, it was a fictional book. In these 2 cases, they probably would have died, more than likely. And the theme of the book was, you cannot just avoid these people, ignore them, and hope it goes away. We have a responsibility. We need to take care of these people. Now, some people will disagree with this, but let me finish. I agree with that. Okay? We are Americans. This is America. We are Americans. We don't turn people away if they're sick, if they're in trouble. Okay, that's not us. That's not what we do. Okay, we've sent more humanitarian aid around the world, more than anybody else combined, and we've sent our children with the Marines and all this all over the place. And I don't want to hear all let's just take everything for face value for a moment. Well, we exploited over there too, whatever. But we've done this. We're Americans. This is what we do. We help people. Okay, that's who we are. All right. Now, in that aspect of the book, I agree. We don't do people like that. Okay, leave someone for dead, let them die on the street, this kind of thing. We don't do that. We're Americans. Okay. But what the book never did is he never went, that's the symptom. I've talked about this before. That is the symptom. He never addressed the actual problem, which was the open border and the allowing of cheap labor crossing that border so we can exploit it on this side. Okay, I did a video months back about cheap lettuce, picking on ag labor and all this kind of thing. I still believe that. So that it would have made me, because I'm not a liberal. I mean, reading that book, I know where this guy's going with it. I said, gee, it's too bad he didn't go back to the source of the problem. He's just playing around with a symptom. Hey, these are human beings. You can't just let them die in the street. I agree with that. I agree with that. Had we gone back 30 years and had a serious border and didn't do all this fooling around for cheap labor that we've done for probably 50 years, whatever it is, we would have all these problems that we have now. Okay, this is a tremendous drain on our country. It promotes division. It's not safe. Forget the terrorism fact, the terrorism idea of this. It's not good. Okay, we know this. But we still have this open border. And had this guy addressed that in the book, I'd have taken it more seriously. It was complete the circle, dude. You're just talking about the symptom. You're not talking about the problem. But because we've done this for too long, and we've seen this too much, and it's become too, I don't know what the word is. We're overwhelmed now. We've been pushed into a corner where now many of us, including myself, will think we can't be taking care of them. We can't take care of them at the emergency rooms and all this stuff. We can't. Okay? It's pushed us into a position where we're no longer acting like Americans. Okay? And many will still agree with this. I get that. And that's sad. But that's where we are. It's overwhelming now. We're in a position now where we cannot help every Tom, Dick, and Jose that comes across the border with a problem. We've let the gate open too long, and now it's bitten us in the ass. Okay. Hope you get my point. My point with the book, he didn't go far enough. And my point with us, that we are Americans. We do not leave people to die in the street, to starve, because we don't do that. We're Americans, okay? But we've been pushed into a corner where we have to change or have a different attitude about it, which I don't think is American, and it's sad. But it's not our fault. I'm not blaming us. It's not our fault. It's our government, okay? Our government has allowed this to happen with industries and all this kind of stuff. Cheap labor. And that's all this revolves around. Whatever it is now, it's beyond something else. It's a bigger thing now where they could use it as a voting block eventually, but that's a whole different story. This thing has gone on too long, okay? So I bring this up because this is why I think it is so important at this election with this guy Trump. I'm not a Trump fan, okay? But the one thing I'm going to take for face value, because he said it, is he wants to close the border. I'm going to assume that he means it, and that he's probably going to do something about it. He may not. Okay? None of the other candidates wanted to touch it. Okay? But I'm hoping that if he does anything, like get elected, and does anything while he's there, that he does take steps to give us a legitimate border. That doesn't change what we have here with the people that are already here. But all these problems we have with this, we cannot change any of. No Band-Aid will work as long as the border is open. I don't say it's closed. It's an open border. Anybody can get in. So nothing will change until that happens. That's the first order of business to taking care of all of our other problems. So when people say, "Well, Trump's this, Trump's that," or I was gonna vote for my guy, or whatever the case, hey, that's fine, man. I picked on your Cruz or whatever. I had to get that off my chest. I enjoyed that, but it was, the key now is I bring this up, and not because Trump is not necessarily my guy, but darn good and well, you take everything I've just said here about our border and the situation because of the way the border is. If you think allowing Hillary to be president is going to improve the situation somehow, you are sadly mistaken. If you want to stand on principle, I'm not going to vote for Trump because I don't agree with that guy. I've done that before. I know what that's like when your guy doesn't get in and, all that crap. But it is so important that maybe, just maybe, and I'm rolling the dice here. I'm rolling the dice on this Trump guy because I don't know. He might be full of baloney. But he might just do something about that border. And I know Hillary will not. So whether or not Trump is a true conservative or anything like that, I could not care less. I'm banking all this that maybe if he does nothing else, he'll do something with that border. Because if we don't do something with that border now, it ain't never going to get changed. If we end up with Hillary Clinton, you can just wrap this thing up. That's never going to change. Especially we have these. California is a sanctuary state. Okay, I mean that's a federal crime what they're doing, what they allow here. You know, Louis, that's a different story. But anyhow, we are Americans. We help people. We go all over the world, spend zillions of dollars, and our children's lives helping people. But you just take it for face value. We send humanitarian aid. We do not allow people to die in our streets, to starve to death, and this sort of thing. That's not us. But we've been forced into a position where we've had to take an attitude that's different than that. And that's sad. It's not our fault. But we have to change that. We have to lock up that border. And maybe this Trump is the guy that'll do it. But we know Hillary won't. So, vote with your conscience. Anyhow, God bless you. Love you.